Hold me till I scream for every, and wash me over until my will runs dry. Send all your sins all over me, baby, baby, baby.
What's poppin' T Squad? It's me, Keisha, and today I am here with none other than Love and Marriage DC reality star, Winter WIllaims. Winter, please say hello to the T Squad.
Hello, T Squad.
You have been the talk of the town, honey, with this first season of Love and Marriage DC. You by far were like literally the breakout star, I must say, of the show. You and Ashley were really the breakout stars of this season. So please tell me, where did you grow up?
So I was born and raised in Arkansas, born and raised in a town called Jonesboro, Arkansas, and went to college there. Initially did about 3.5 years at the University of Arkansas. And so I moved to the DMV in 2005. So I am a true Southern Belle. That's what I tell people. Like,
oh, wow. I have family in Poplar Bluff, and I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. So yeah, so that's cool.
All in the boot. All in the boot.
Yes. What was it like growing up there?
Boring. It's really the best word I could use to describe it because it's country. There's nothing there. Like, we had one mall, one this, one that. Like, the highlight of our day was like going to Sonic or
not Sonic,
Walmart. Like, it was a country town. I mean, it's not extremely small, but compared to some of the areas around here, it's actually not as big either.
Yeah,
so
very slow.
It's very slow. Like speed limits not above 40 slow. Like
I know. I've visited and I'll be like, I'm ready to go back home.
Exactly. I tell people that all the time. Do you go back home often? Not unless it's for a funeral. And I hate to be like that, but it's just nothing to do and nothing has changed. So it's still very much the same as when I grew up. So it's almost like stepping back in a time warp, especially being in DMV where things are pretty progressive here. And it's just not that way, but it's home. I'm proud of it. I call myself Arkansas proud, woo pig. Yeah. And, I bleed, Razorback red. It's what it is. So I'm very proud of my hometown and my home state, but I could not live there.
Yeah, I could not either. What would you say would be your greatest strength and weakness?
Greatest strength is that I'm strong. Actually, I'm a very, very strong personality. I can handle and take a lot, and probably more than most. Weakness, dang, I can be very sharp. I think sometimes I'm very sharp. I that is definitely a weakness, and it's a part of my personality, but something it can be good and bad.
Yeah, we saw it on the show. We saw it on the show, ma'am. Yes, you can get them together when need be. So what would you say would be your greatest accomplishment?
Oh, my babies. Definitely. Mama 4. And I think just being a mom has been an unexpected blessing for me. And I truly love it. Like, I love being a mom. I know there's ups and downs, but yeah, my kids hands down would be my greatest accomplishment.
I 100% agree. Yes, I have a son. So yes, I totally agree with that. Describe yourself for me in 5 words.
Oh gosh. 5 words. I'm a belle. I am loud, funny, strong, feisty.
Okay, that's a good mix. I like that mix. I like that mix a lot. So I saw on the show that you grew up in the church. What denomination are you, and how was that like being a church girl?
Listen, born and raised Kojic. You can't just join in. You got to be born in. So I was born and raised Kojic, and we switched to non-denominational around the time I was 11 or 12. But my parents were pastors, and that's pretty much been my life, all of my life. So yeah, born and raised PK, still a PK. And that was my environment. So even sometimes some of my jokes have churchy references. And if you're not raised in church, you won't get it. It'll just sound corny. But if you were raised in church, it will literally give you the greatest laughter of your life, because it's just been my reference. It's been my environment and atmosphere. So you pull from that, right? So yeah, that's my life. I can't change it. PK
okay,
I am.
One of my best friends wanted me to ask you that because she herself is a PK and she's now a pastor. Now she was like, I want to know more about, her background as far as the church and everything that goes. So I was like, I will most definitely ask her that.
Yes. Kojak.
Yes, ma'am. So please clarify for the viewers, what is your occupation outside of the show? Because we know coming in, you said you was a relationship coach.
Child, that was all up in a tizzy. So I was a relationship coach all the way through 2019.
Okay.
And I retired that to go into ministry full time. And so I went into being a ministry partner of a faith-based community. And I was one of the ministers I wouldn't say on staff, more so like a consultant. So I did that really for the last few years. So that was kind of the confusion. I was explaining how I was a relationship coach when I had met my ex. Okay. And I felt like I should know better. Like I'm a relationship coach. I should know what to ask, right? And know what to look for. So that's kind of how we get there. By profession, I used to be the director of media, PR, marketing. That's really my degrees and background. I actually am in doctoral school. So that's kind of, a lot of education there. I have an MBA. Yes. But I am an author, a public speaker. I've been public speaking for about a decade. And I'm an entrepreneur. So I do run my own faith-based mentorship community. And I run courses and retreats, and we just got back from Mexico in June. So that's really what I do. And that keeps me very busy. I travel all over the country to speak, but when I don't, I do host more so faith-based events and networking events for professional women, because I do come out of corporate and understand the importance of building your network. So that's what I do for a living. I'm a very busy woman outside of this show.
I see. When is the next event for any viewers out there that might want to participate?
Absolutely. So I actually have 2 events coming up that are not mine, but I'm going to be speaking at in Delaware and New Orleans. And then personally, I will be having pop-up events, but I have a faith-based event coming up in October. Hopefully we can pull this off with everything I got going on, but it's called the Fresh Fire Conference. And that's coming up in October. That is for my faith-based community. And then I have a Queen's Table retreat, luxury retreat, and that'll be in the DMV in December. And so those are the 2 main goals. Yes. And then next year we're going to Jamaica for the Queen's Table International Luxury Retreat in June. So it's just busy, but my goal is to create a real memorable experience for professional women of faith. Like we don't really see those, and sometimes they're so churchy, it's a little annoying. And I'm trying to move away from that because we're kind of out of touch as far as the church goes. So it's more so finding that integration without compromising.
Okay, that's what's up. Everybody follow Winter on Instagram so y'all can keep in the know of what's going on with that whole situation. So let's get into the tea. Let's get there.
Let's get into it.
How did you and your first husband meet? And tell us your love story.
Oh my! So my children's father. You're speaking to the ex-NFL player. So we met at college. So we were college sweethearts, married at 19 years old.
Wow.
And babies. Now let me tell you the real tea, because I don't mind. Your girl got pregnant.
Okay.
And as typical church upbringing,
gotta get married.
You got to make it right. Yeah. So this is how we ended up married at 19. So I had her at 20. And then the babies just never stopped coming. So we really got married because we were just young, dumb, and in love. That's what I say. The whole NFL thing was very new to me and really highly unexpected, just because he was what they called injury prone. So the NFL really, wasn't a strong possibility. He did get both of his degrees. So he was, educated while he was playing ball. And it just, going to the Skins just happened. It was really just kind of a stroke of, I don't want to say luck, but as God would have it, that's how we ended up in the DC area. So I've been here since then. And that's really our love story. It only went south about 6 years in.
Okay. Well, that's good, especially considering the world that you were in, because some already, start off from the beginning.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit more of what was it like being an NFL wife? Because like you said, it was so new to you and being in this whole different environment with your babies and away from your family.
Yes. It was tough. I think too, that's kind of the backstory of getting like help. You know, you need help. You don't have, my family was not with me. All of my family was back in Arkansas. So I had to move 2 babies, you know, by myself over here. Wow. So that's what happened. And that was a lot. It's new. It's different. It's scary because you don't really know anyone. You're having to make new friends. I will credit the NFL wives community with being a very supportive community. And we all band together, bind together, try to help each other out. And when I came into the league, a good friend of mine, Ashley Brown, who is the founder of the NFL Wives Association called Off the Field, that launched the year that I came into the league. And so, yes, it was very nice to have that. And we are all still very close to this day. Like we all still keep in touch and try to get together when we can. But it was different. I'm not going to lie. It was scary. You are still very much trying to figure out who you are as a person. You're with, you know, people that go from being college to these mega stars making a lot of money. There's a lot available to them. So yeah, it's a little crazy. I'm not going to lie. Like it's a little crazy. And I wish someone had told me like all the pitfalls, like really sat me down and been like, you know, this is what you do and don't do. Cause let me tell you, when it hit and it came in like a tornado, and I was just devastated because that wasn't my experience. For me, we had a very great, I say great. We had a good marriage. Okay. Yes, there were ups and downs. Right. But for me, I would have never suspected.
Right. I was just going to ask you, like, did you, now looking back on things, were there red flags that you might have looked past or ignored?
Not just ignore, just didn't notice. Like it was like, so you got to think about age too. So at this time, I'm about, I'm about 24, 25.
Oh yeah.
So you're still green then. I mean, I was a mom and a wife, but if that's not your experience, you're very green. So for me, hindsight is 2020. So when I look back, it probably wasn't a good idea that he was going, off training our nannies separately. Like, it's just little things like that you kind of think like, oh, like, dang.
Oh, so wait a minute. So he was training your nanny. You knew about that though, but you was just like, okay, no problem.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Oh, girl.
Like it's kind of like winter. Seriously, like I even remember going away, and I'm like,
girl, yeah, you can't have no heifer in your house.
Oh, I was green to the point of literally considering moving her in. Like I just,
oh Lord,
really,
God, that didn't happen. Y'all would have had an Arnold Schwarzenegger situation going on.
It just really would. I probably would be in jail. Like I'm gonna be honest. Like I probably really would be doing some time. So thankfully it didn't get that far. But yeah, thinking back, like just being young and not really having those kind of issues before, it just really caught me by surprise. But looking back, I'm like, girl, I say all the time, and I tell younger ladies this, like, honey, make sure she is toothless and old. Like we talk about
that don't even matter, child. That don't even matter sometimes.
And you're right, but it's you gotta. Sometimes I just stick to family members these days, and even that's a little sketchy this day and age.
It really honestly is. Yeah, because I tell my friends all the time. Like when I was in my 20s, I thought I was so grown and knew everything, and then looking back, especially relationship wise, there were so many flags that I just missed or ignored because, you're just looking through rose colored glasses. You're in love.
Yes, you are.
Child, it's just a mess. So how did you find out about the affair?
Oh, goodness. I remember this day like it was yesterday. I was pregnant and had to get up and use the restroom. And came and laid back down. And shortly thereafter, I remember a cell phone light going off because the room was dark. And I was laying, towards the wall. He was laying on the other side. So I see the cell phone light go off. And for whatever reason, I just remember him getting up, grabbing his phone, going into the bathroom and locking the door. And I just thought that was odd because of the time in the morning.
Right.
And I'm like, what is that? Like, I've never seen him do that. Like, that is just, It was all very strange. So, oh goodness. When he came back out, I waited until he went to sleep and bear crawled my way over around that corner and grabbed that phone and went to the bathroom and locked the door and started scrolling.
Wow.
And I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
Wow.
And yeah, that literally was a horrible night. But
yeah.
I have never been so shocked in all of my life. Like, to find out something like that, and especially being pregnant, like it was a horrible, horrible time. So I remember, thank God for my NFL sisters, I had a really tight-knit core within the core. Right. And they actually flew my mom up for me.
That's
and so I needed support. I really did. And so they flew my mom up. They put me in a hotel, like literally just to step in and help out as much as they could, because it was devastating, especially finding that out, being, in a vulnerable space. I think I was like 4 or 5 months pregnant at the time. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I found out, girl. It was a mess, honey. I think about, like, girl, how did you not snap? Like,
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. You're already kind of like isolated away from your family. Yeah. At that point, you were having your third child?
Yes.
Oh God. Oh Lord. Yeah, that's horrible. How did he react when you confronted him? And what did she do?
She knew. He knew. She knew. Everybody knew. I think it was just the realization that I knew.
Wow.
It was such a mess. It was a mess. And that's the thing that I tell people. And I speak about this often. I've even spoken to men's groups. I'm like, when you make a choice to do that, there are so many people that are impacted that you don't consider outside of the act itself. Like, yeah, you're getting gratification in that moment, but the repercussions and the consequences have such long lasting impact that, really until recently, and I would say within the last 3 to 4 years, 3 to 5 years, it's been really, really good. And everyone has truly moved on, but it took a long time to get there. Yeah. So we're talking about a 15-year ago occurrence. My son will be 15 this year. So we're talking about something that happened 15 years ago, and it's taken us a long time. But I'm like, think about what you do before you do it. Like that really impacts people more than you realize. And my kids have had to truly adjust because they have siblings out of these occurrences, So, they've been troopers. They've been through a lot, but they really, really have navigated it. It's been difficult and it's been tough, but we're on the other side of it. And I do allow them the space to love their siblings openly because of my forgiveness, towards all parties involved. Yeah. And so it's definitely gotten better, but it was not easy. It was very tough. It's the type of thing that'll make a person bitter. Mm-hmm. But because I value forgiveness and I value my future, I don't ever want to hold up my own future because I'm holding on to something like that. So it's been very helpful with our healing, and we've been all able to move forward, and we're all good. Like it was horrible and it was a traumatic time, but I had a little PTSD. But we worked through it. So it's been good. And I talk about it openly, y'all. It happened, but you get through it. You really, really do. And you move on.
So after you found out, what made you go back and decide to work things out?
Because I had 3 kids. At the time, I had 3 kids, no degree, no work experience. I was now a full-time homemaker.
Right.
And I was a woman of faith. Good and doggone well.
Yeah.
They do not support you leaving those types of situations.
Did you get a lot of that from your family and the church and stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, it's just the one time. Just y'all can work through it.
Lord. Do you regret listening?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because it wasn't. And I just feel like for me, it's time I can't get back. I don't regret my kids. They're just so phenomenal. Right. Even my baby girl, we actually went on to have one more. So I don't regret that, but the drama and all of the back and forth that kind of happened as a result of paternity. And I should, because I ended up doing it anyway. You see what I'm saying? Like I delayed the inevitable because it actually still happened anyway. And that's time I can't get back. So yeah, I do regret listening. And I don't ever advise people to give advice in those situations. You need to let the person make that decision, because they ultimately have to live with the consequences of whatever decision they make, not the people who are giving the advice. So I always say too, it takes a lot of strength to stay, and it takes a lot of strength to go. Both are equally hard.
Yes, yes. It really honestly is, because when you stay, you worrying about what people gonna say about you. Is it gonna happen again? Can you trust him? Yeah. How do we move on from this? And then if you leave, it's like, how do I start all over again? What's going to happen to my babies? It's a lot, especially with your situation. Like you said, you literally went from college to being married, to being a mom, to moving away. That's a lot of pressure on you. So it makes the situation even more clearer now that you provided us with that information. So how did you find out about the other children? Was it with a nanny or two other women?
Well, nanny and another woman. So there were two.
So the nanny, and she went on too. Okay.
Correct. Correct. For lack of better words, correct. Oh goodness. The sheriff knocks on the door to serve you.
You're lying. What?
I wish. God honest truth. That's actually how I learned about the second one. I didn't know before. We got served.
Wow. How did you find out about the first one?
We knew it was a possibility in question, but it just didn't come about. Paternity didn't come about for a few years.
Oh.
So yeah.
So which one came first, the nanny's baby or the other girl?
The other one.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Quite the Jerry Springer.
Yeah. So like, you were the one that opened the door and got it? Or I'm so sorry. That I know that has to be like up to the woo, Jesus.
I actually will never forget that day either. I'll never forget where I was standing, what I was wearing, and where we were living. We had just bought a brand new townhouse. Beautiful, by the way. And I'm like, oh, we've made it through. We got past.
Right.
Yeah, I answered that door and I took it and I looked at it. And it was like, I think it's child services or something like that that they have on. So I'm like, okay, like, oh, this is in my mind. I'm thinking, okay, here comes the nanny. Like, we know what the deal is. We knew this was a possibility. So I opened it because he was downstairs in the basement playing a video game. Like, I just remember that day like it happened. Wow. So I opened it and was like, okay, so what's this about? And I'm reading and the state was different. And I was like, wait a minute, like, what? Why? Did she move? Like, that's like in my mind, that's what I'm processing. Like, did she move? No, completely different person. And I went downstairs and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. That's how I found out. So yeah, it was a very convoluted mess. Jerry Springer mess, actually. And it just, from that point forward, and I would say probably like the last 3 to 4 years before I filed for separation, pending divorce, it was just really the realization, like, Winter, is this really how you want to live the rest of your life? Do you really? Yeah, I know nothing can be changed. These kids aren't going anywhere, but do you want to be a part of it?
Right.
Like, and I didn't want to be involved in it. So I actually made a decision to go back to school and get my, finish out my bachelor's degree, because I was actually pretty close. I only had like a year left when I transferred in. So I went back to school and got my bachelor's degree. And then I started working like a little part-time job, because I felt like, if I'm not sure about staying, I need to kind of be working on myself and getting myself together. And sure enough, like, I got sick in 2014 and really sick, actually hospitalized. Sick.
So sorry to hear that.
It's okay. So I actually was diagnosed with 2 autoimmune diseases. And so one got really bad and it put me in the hospital for 2 weeks and I really almost died. At that point, I really made a decision. Like, if anything else came out, I was out. Like, I had enough. And I knew at that point life was too short. And so shortly thereafter, getting discharged from the hospital, I want to say that was May. Later that year, I found out about another incident and I filed for divorce.
Wow. It's crazy. We have a lot of parallels in our life. A very close friend of mine, we were on the phone one day and she checked the mail and she was going through the mail as we were talking on the phone. And she saw some paperwork from the child support here in Missouri. And she opened it up. And that's how she found out that her guy had another child. And I'll never forget that day when that happened, because we both were floored. And then when you just told me about you being sick and, just like, Lord, if something else happens, I'm out. In 2013, I actually got really sick. I had diverticulitis where I had a polyp on my intestine burst. Yes. And I had to have emergency surgery. And they were like, if you didn't come in when you came in, you would have died. And I had a colostomy bag for 6 months. And me and my boyfriend at the time were already going through a lot of struggles. And I had already told myself, if he does not propose to me by the end of 2012, because it happened in 2012, at the end of 2012, I was like, I'm leaving. And then that happened. And it was right before Thanksgiving. And so I was in ICU for like 2 weeks, came home right before Christmas. And I'll never forget, he came home and he sat on the top of our steps and he was like, I'm just not ready. And I was laying in the bed with a colostomy bag. And I was just thinking, like, if he's not going to propose now, like where you're going, this is the moment, like, to really show your love for somebody. I was like, it's a wrap. And I was at that point making my exit plan, just like you.
Yeah.
So I totally 100% understand where you were coming from with that. Like, that's traumatic. Oh my God. So, what advice would you give to women that have gone through that, situation?
Yeah, I definitely think that you got to seek support. I think so often those type of situations kind of isolate us because we're ashamed. I think women bear a lot of the brunt and blame for their partner's mistakes. And shortcomings and failures. Like, we truly get blamed. Like, even going through this show, I learned that. Like, I'm sitting here presenting receipts and facts, and unfortunately a lot of those didn't get shown because for legal reasons, and I get it. Right. But even still, the amount of people that said, oh, if he's a scammer, she must be a scammer. Like, what? Those two are not mutually exclusive. Oh, if she got scammed, it's her fault. I'm like, still not, that's not okay, because there's a lot of things that you don't see in a 42-minute segment on a TV show. So I just think seek support. You really got to have a strong support system, and you got to understand your worth and your worthiness. No one deserves to be treated less than. No one deserves to be cheated on. I just don't agree with it. If you didn't sign up for that, you shouldn't be cheated on. So you got to understand your worth and worthiness, and you honestly got to understand your why. What's your why? If you're going to remain, what's your why? If you're going to go, what's your why? And I think for me, understanding my why was that I was worthy of a relationship that included fidelity, that included love, that included trust. And I included a future that was free of chaos and turmoil and toxicity. And I was worthy of peace. And so my peace is priceless. I always tell ladies that your peace is priceless and you can't put a price tag on it. So at the end of the day, if it doesn't provide you peace, it does not deserve your presence.
Amen. Come on, Winter, you better speak a word. Yes. So how old were you when you finally said enough was enough and you left?
I would have been 34.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, how far apart was it between that situation and Kevin?
Ooh, child, that would have been about 6 years. Okay. I'm trying to count. I don't want to lie. So let me get my timing right. So 2015. Well, no, about 4 years. I would say, from into getting to know him or knowing of him, 4 years. From end of one into another, we're talking 5 years because we got married in 2020. So we're talking about, a nice little break there. So nice little break, there was some time, there were some lessons, there were, me dating and having other relationships. And ciao. So I don't know.
Point, you're feeling like you've done the work on yourself. You're, ready to, accept love into your life, and he comes. And what was it about him that drew you to him? How did you all meet?
we met platonically working on a nonprofit project. And I'm going to be, this is going to sound awful to people, but I was not drawn to him. Okay. And I only say that because we met platonically, and I feel like in a lot of my other relationships, the connection's kind of instant, and it just wasn't that for me.
It was different, or just a friend vibe.
Yeah, and he was older, so it's not really my thing.
Yeah, okay.
So it was very platonic, but I will say for me, when I met him, I was personally going through a major faith transformation, if you will, where I was going into ministry full time, and I went like 0 to 1,000. So I was heavy into it, making a lot of changes personally, internally, spiritually, like all of it. Like I kind of did a 180 on my platform. Like I went from being this funny, almost like I call myself a country comedian, this Christian country comedian, talking relationships and having these radios. I was on a radio show, or had my own radio show. And so I was, I went from doing that, kind of living my single life, my best single life, and dating and stuff like that, to being super serious. And all in the church. And I just went full throttle. I really did. So that's kind of the connect there. He was definitely, he definitely slid in on the man of God tip. Yeah.
Very presented himself to be in that space.
Heavy into that space. And so we're on prayer calls together. Like that is really the draw. And like, oh, this is someone that I could see myself doing kingdom work with. Right.
Okay. Now I'm getting it.
When you're in that mind space, I know everyone won't understand it, but if you're in church, you'll totally get it. Like everyone talks about having this kingdom spouse, this kingdom partner. You're going to, threaten hell together and all that great stuff. And when you're dealing with someone who's heavily churched, and then this is your mindset at the time, you just got to play the role. And I hate to say that, but if you know all the things to say, do, you know how to pray, you know how to, speak, fake speaking tongues, whatever you want to call it. Like those things are very attractive to a person like me. Furthermore, I was huge into abstinence. That was a big thing. And so here I have this man of God I'm abstinent. I'm going to honor you. I'm going to court you. Now, I did not know he was as old as he was. That caught me by surprise because he did not look his age at the time. Yeah, the age caught me by surprise. But like I said, he didn't look his age, but he was very respectful, very mannerable, was just kind of full throttle as well when it came to the whole courtship thing. And we didn't kiss until we got engaged, and we didn't have sex until marriage. Like, these are some of the things. We're going through financial workbooks, and we're looking at each other's credit scores and, bills and debts. And we're talking about all of that, how we plan to parent. Child, it was a lot that was done to ensure that there was no kind of eyebrows raised. It honestly wasn't until our engagement party that I really I really regret that I didn't shut it down. And I don't think it was more so shut the relationship down, it was more so shut the engagement down. There was an incident that occurred that really kind of made me look at him like, you all right over there?
Do you mind sharing or no?
Oh, girl, I don't mind. I talked about this so many times. One thing you guys will learn about me, and I feel like the audience it's kind of fell more. Majority of people appreciate it. Some people are kind of like, why is she telling all that? But I do believe in the thought process of it is by the truth alone that you are set free. And if I can't talk about it, there's a legal reason why I can't talk about it. Other than that, it's fair game. So we had our engagement party at my house with our families. Everyone was there, and he wanted to do a Louis Armstrong impersonation, the trumpet guy.
Right, I know. That's what I'm looking like.
Okay. And it was just a strange thing. And his mother was like, have you done your Louis Armstrong impression for her? He's really good. And I was like, it's okay. I don't want to hear that at my engagement party, but we'll do that another time. And she was like, oh, okay. And he was like, I never get to do my Louis Armstrong impression. Like, pouted, folded his arms, got really upset. And his mom was like, it's okay. It's okay. She didn't say you couldn't do it right now. She just said, a different time. He's like, I know, but I just want to do it. Like, I don't understand why I can't do it. And my sister looks at me like, Winter, don't be like that. Just let him do it. And I was so irritated by this kind of childlike tantrum display from a man of his age. It just didn't sit well with me. And my mom is looking at me like, girl, go ahead and let him do it. We don't mind. And I'm looking at her like, I said, want to hear no Louis Armstrong impression right now. I said, but fine. If y'all want to hear it, I'm going to go upstairs, because I actually did have another engagement later that day. So I left my own engagement party early and upset, because I just thought that is freaking ridiculous. Who acts like that over not doing a Louis Armstrong? It was just the whole time. Yeah, it was just a weird thing. And so
I'm catching the vibe that he had like some codependency stuff with his mom. Like, it was weird. Like like a mama's boy that didn't grow up. Like, it's very
something. It just was a very strange dynamic, is what I can say.
Okay.
And it didn't sit well with me, so much so that was a Sunday. Monday, we had our premarital counseling that we always had every Monday leading up to our wedding. I went into that counseling, he and I asked I told our counselor that I preferred to postpone the wedding because of it.
Oh, wow.
I was that serious. I'm so serious. I said his behavior yesterday just did not sit well with me. And he was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, how you acted. Like, that is just not normal behavior for a man of your age. And no, I think I was just stressed out. I wanted to make a good impression on your family, and you're making it bigger than what it was. And, after explaining what happened to our counselor, and she actually apologized to me later, she was like, well, Winter, it doesn't sound like anything too, crazy. Like, maybe he was, just a little nervous and wanted to. And she was like, I think this is something y'all can work through. And he was like, of course, like, I'm willing to work through whatever you need me to work on. Like, I won't act like that again. Like, I don't know what got into me. Red flag. Wow. I should have stuck to my guns.
Right.
Like, when I think back to that, I mean, yeah, was it big? No, but when something resonates in your soul, you know what I mean? To the point where it's like, I want to postpone this. That was my soul my spirit was saying, girl, no, run, girl, run.
Yes. So
I didn't listen to that.
So I always tell people, one of my things going through life, that I feel like God will continue to test you in ways until you pass that test. So as I'm listening to your story, the first marriage, like you were saying, you should have left, but you listened to your family, you listened to the church. And then in this situation, you had that gut feeling again, and you listened to the marriage counselor. So now, moving forward, when you get that aha God voice talking to you, that's God speaking, telling your ass to go and to listen from now on.
Absolutely. And I think too, sometimes we put too much stock into getting approval from other people. And we definitely are guilty of that if you're faith-based, because we believe, you got to have this, and the pastor got to approve, and your daddy got to, like we are conditioned that way. So it honestly doesn't make it easier. If anything, I feel like going through this has really taught me to live for myself. I just yesterday, I had a conversation with my mom, and I love her. Like, my mom has my back. She's been a wonderful mom, and she's one of my best friends, but she's still a church mama, like, and I think I did an IG live. I know she saw it, because I'm trying to think of anywhere else I said it. I'm pretty sure it was just IG, but I said hell in the thing, like, and she was like, I can't believe you're cussing, and I don't want you. I'm like, Mom, it's hell.
Right.
Like, there are a lot of other colorful words I could use. But even just speaking up for myself in that, like, it may seem small to other people, but that's huge for someone like me that has been kind of trained and conditioned to work within the system, right? You don't deviate, you don't buck against what you've been taught, or else, you're going to hell if you do certain things. I have really shed that going through this process. I have shed that being on this show. People have literally watched Winter truly become a woman and own who she is, own her mistakes, own being a sexual being. And I mean, it's like, it's just a whole lot. Like, it's a whole lot that I feel like I'm learning real time. And it's been good for me because it's also made me look differently at how I parent my own kids. Like, I've seen ways where I've been with them, where today I had a real conversation with my oldest daughter and I had to apologize to her. I said, if any way I've ever been like this to you, I'm sorry, because that's not really a reflection of a Christian, because no one would ever convert to being a Christian with that level of judgment.
Okay. Yeah.
Someone judging and criticizing it. Oh, you shouldn't do this. And oh, you should. Like, we are quick to tell a lot of people what they shouldn't do.
Yeah.
But why not just lead by example?
Exactly.
You know, if there's something that is attractive about your life that draws a person, then fantastic. But it is not your job to police. And I feel like we're very guilty of that in the body of Christ. And so that has been something I am shedding real time and becoming more comfortable in my own skin. You know, you don't like it, flip it, you know, flip the channel, like unsubscribe, unfollow, but I will be me. Yes.
And that's one of the most freeing things that I have within myself is to 100 live in my purpose and who I am, and to be unapologetic about it, especially being in the limelight, because you have so many things coming at you from so many different ways and people saying this, people saying that. But if you're not confident in who you are and stand on that, you will crumble. You will really crumble. So, you said that originally you didn't know how old he was. When did you find out how old he was?
Excuse me, I'm like, my hair's in my mouth, but he beat around the bush for a minute. And finally, I would say about a month after we started like kind of dating a little bit, like he finally came out with it, because I wouldn't let him not come out with it. Like he was like, no, just get to know me. I don't want you to judge me off of. I said, no, bro. You need to tell me. Like, if you're ashamed of it, then you're kind of making me nervous. Like, you're gonna roll out the fact that you're 70 or something, because yes and no for me. Don't lie because you think by being honest that I'm gonna be out. And now, you know, I kind of think back, you know, looking back, there was a lot of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was the first red flag for me, the fact that he didn't want to tell you his age.
Yes. And so I'm like, when I think back to that, I'm like, there was already kind of some sketchiness there. But, you know, I, again, let it slide. Like, I just wanted you to, and really, was he older? Yes, I knew how old he was. I was willing to give him a chance because of, at the time, the kindness and the man of God standpoint. And I did actually ask around about him, and people spoke very highly of him. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give you a chance. I'm not going to be so harsh on. I'm not going to. Absolutely. Which is honestly kind of a red flag now. And you know what I'm saying? That's actually kind of a red flag. And I tell women that, like, no one's ever going to have all of the right things. And you actually want to see a bit of a person's humanity. And if a person is coming across too good to be true, 9 times out of 10, it's probably too good to be true. And that's essentially what I learned.
When did you find out that he lived at home with his parents? Was this before the engagement or after the engagement? And that he didn't have a car?
This was after marriage.
Oh, wow. So the whole time y'all dating, Miss Winter, you never said, when you going to take me to your house?
No, and this is where the abstinence worked for him.
Oh.
This is where the abstinence worked for him. And COVID hit. He had a lot of things working in his favor. COVID and abstinence. We made a decision like, hey, if we're going to be abstinent, we're not going to be over each other's houses. We're going to date out in public. So we have accountability. Let people know where we're going to be. Our, you know, my family, his family knows that we're dating, but we're going to keep it $150. Like, we really weren't trying to falter or fail, so to speak, in our abstinence commitment. So I know it sounds crazy. And then too, because it was COVID and a lot of people weren't going over each other's houses. I have 2 autoimmunes. I wasn't allowed to do it. I had a lot of restrictions from that aspect as well. It wasn't like he wasn't on his FaceTime giving me a tour of his basement apartment.
He just never went upstairs.
Right. Like, you know, it's like I said at the vegan dinner in the show. I'm like, well, his mama had to yell down and be like, come up and get your dinner, baby. Like, I would have been like, what?
Wow. Was there like a certain time that he would call you, or was he just call you at any time of the day? Like
any time of the day. But so in his defense, it was a legitimate basement apartment.
Right.
Like once I found out, and I'm actually, now I know what the situation has been, because his mom ended up telling me, telling my mom at the wedding, she was glad to have her house back, or glad to have her basement back.
So did your mom come and tell you right then and there, or she waited?
She waited.
Lord.
I mean, we've said I do. And I'm sure my mom probably assumed that I knew. Like, I won't fault her either. Like, she probably assumed, like, well, she wouldn't marry him not knowing that he was. So she didn't say anything.
Wow.
But when I think about it and think about his parents' house, it's a legitimate basement apartment. And it's a nice size one, too. And I'm not going to lie. It's probably like, 1,500 square feet. We're talking like a full living room, a kitchen, a dining area, a bathroom, and 2 separate bedrooms. Like, so this is a nice space. This is not some I'm looking. Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was actually really nicely done. So, yeah, and it's so funny. I just remember one time on the FaceTime, he flipped it around and was like, "Yeah, I got a pool out there I can use."
Oh God. Oh, Kevin. Oh, my word. So when y'all got married, he moved in with you?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So how long did you all date before you got married?
It would have been 6 months.
Do you regret moving so fast?
Absolutely. That was a tactic, because in my investigation of prior marriages that he's had, they all have been the same MO.
Wow.
All of them.
I mean, he's been married before?
I would be his 3rd ex-wife.
Did you know that he had already been married twice prior?
So I knew he had been, yes. And let me tell you, even with that, now when I think, well, now that I know the truth, because I've talked, gotten clarification. The first one, they were married for quite some time, no kids. And she left him. Allegedly.
Okay.
Okay. Second wife, she cheated on him.
Okay.
Okay. So these are 2 instances, and they're actually quite a distance apart. So it didn't seem like he was bouncing from marriage to marriage.
Right.
So when you're hearing these things played back and the family's going along with it, these are things that are openly being talked about. You don't hear his family bucking what he's saying. You really kind of assume like, okay, it's not like he's lying. He's being honest. He's an older gentleman. Of course, it's not uncommon for him to have had these relationships. And if you say, I got married hoping this would be forever, but she cheated. Can you really control that? No. Like, I ain't gonna truly fault him for that. So yeah, I'm the 3rd ex-wife. Now, by the time all the mess came out and I got to doing some digging and hired a PI, and that it is just, this is a pattern. This is a pattern. All of us are professional women. All of us. One is an attorney.
Okay.
So when people look at me and say, "Well, how could you not know, honey?" We all are highly educated women. Like, that is the preference. You know what I mean? Like, that is the type.
Okay.
Highly educated. A lot going for them. I don't want to call it opportunistic behavior, but you could.
I was going to say, do you feel like he was like a moocher, like he was trying to use you financially?
I think I won't even say financially. I think he had, well, I don't know. I feel like it's all kind of intermingled. I will say for me, it was probably more so influence. Like, you see a train that's moving forward very fast. Let me hop on this train. I see that this train is getting ready to take off. Let me hop on this train.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I do feel that, and I don't want to call him a predator, but for me, I will be honest and say for me, it seems and appears to be very predatory behavior. You know, like there's just a lot of similarities between me and a lot of the other women. Like I've spoken to ex-fiancés, like it's just a lot of them feel like they dodged a bullet. A lady tweeted at me that she had dodged him in 2012. Like, I'm like, what is going on? Same story, same MO. So, you know, I really hope he gets help for what he's doing, but it definitely seems to be a pattern. But I'm not the only person. One of his ex-wives, and I won't name who, contacted me and was like, I just want to let you know you're not crazy and you're not the only one, and your story is my story.
Oh, wow. Whew, that is a mess. So out of everything that happened, is there anything on your part that you feel like you can take accountability for?
Oh, honey, I should have stuck to my guns. I always say, don't ever be ashamed of your preferences. Your preferences are your preferences. And I preferred not to be with someone older. I should not have made it. I just should have stuck to the fact that I just don't date older. Like, you cool and all, wish you well, hope you find whoever you're looking for, but it's a no for me. Aside from that, the rushing, he didn't rush by himself. Yes, he was rushing things, but I agreed. He rushed, but I agreed to be rushed. And I also agreed to move forward when I knew I had that gut feeling.
Yeah.
So I have to take accountability for that. It sucks that it turned out this way, but it's what it is. I wished I had not been so trusting and I would have done more due diligence, because just because a person appears, and sometimes family will ride with us when we're wrong. That don't make us right. Mm-hmm. And because I did kind of assume that with the family backing, a lot of close friends, again, at this time, a lot of his former partners were singing his praises. So, you had a lot of people around that were, oh, he's amazing. He's this. It's like, even still, check. Yeah. Even still, look, for a person to have claimed to be so affluent and well off, my friend makes a statement now, until he can provide some titles and deeds, it ain't real.
Period. So yeah. Let me ask you, do you think that when you met him that you were in a space in your life where you meet this guy, he values the same things that you value, he's speaking the language that you speak, he's a man of faith, you have, all of these similarities. Do you feel like you were like, I'm a woman approaching a certain age, I should give this a try again? Because will you say that you were in love with him, or do you think like you were settling and just like, okay, let me try this again, everything is good on paper, it might not be the lust thing that I'm used to, he might be older, but this is a safe bet?
I think I honestly will say I did settle, and it wasn't for me. I don't ever feel like age is ever a factor, to be perfectly honest. Okay. I don't think that way. I think for me, my thought process was the way I've done it before hasn't worked.
Okay.
Why not do something different? Like, is all the googly goosebumps. Like, we used to have this argument all the time. He would be like, you're my best friend. Why won't you call me your best friend? And I was like, because you're not my best friend. Like, I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? Like, you're not my best friend. And again, a lot of that had to do with the lack of connectivity as far as our ages being so far apart. We had similar things, but I also look back too and feel like a lot of it was mimicking and mirroring. It wasn't that we truly had things in common. He was willing to do whatever I liked to, paint the picture that we had so much in common. But by the time we got married, it was very clear that we were very different, So yeah, I think there was definitely settling. And two, there was too much focus. And I think I said this, oh gosh, in a live before, and I'm trying to remember exactly what I said. But for me, the mindset I was in, sometimes we are so heavily bound, we are no earthly good. And this was one instance where I feel like spiritual trumped common sense.
That's a word. Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Like, yeah, very much. And that seems like that's what literally it was once again. If you think about
Yeah,
it, because it happened the first
absolutely.
time. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I will say too, I give my children's father grace because we came into this together at 19.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I
You
give
grew
us
up together.
grace.
Yeah. You didn't
We
know
grew up
yourself.
together.
Yeah.
No, this situation, being a full grown woman, like, girl, get your life. Like, no, ma'am. You cannot be out here in these streets, pretending like all that is good about this is praying and slaying some demons. Like, cut the crap. You got to live with this person. Can you really do life with this person? Once we, and again, I probably get flack for this. Yes, I love the Lord and all, but where's the practicality? And I think so often because we're so pressed about people sleeping together, again, get out of people's bedrooms. It's really none of our business what people do. But aside from that, because I hadn't lived with him, that was a huge transition for not just me, but my kids.
Yeah.
Living with him was an absolute pain.
Yeah.
Like, I think if I had to live with him for 2 weeks, my kids would have been like, hell to the no, Ma. We ain't gonna be able to do it. Like,
oh, wow.
It really, I think 2 really good weeks would have sealed the deal for everybody involved. It was very difficult to live with him. And I know people speak against it, but it's like you almost I would have rather just had repented for the sex than to have to came out of it the way I had to come out of it. Yeah.
Do you think in this case that it was your faith kind of did you a disservice?
I wouldn't say my faith did me a disservice. My religion did me a disservice.
Okay.
Two different things.
Yeah.
So my faith very much is intact because that's the only way I got through this joint.
Yeah.
It was the religious mindset that got me in this situation. If I really didn't care what people thought, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Well, I hope you learn your lesson, Miss Winter. We're not going through this again.
We sure ain't, honey, because let me tell you what, we taking our time, and the Saints gonna just have to be upset with me because we doing a whole lot differently this time. Like, I just can't move the way I've moved before. I have way too much at stake, and the snakes get snakier. The more influence or recognition, or even just growth financially you get snakes that come out the woodwork. So you just got to be mindful, even with friendships. I'm learning that too. Like, you can't just look at the romantics, you got to look at the friends.
So are you guys finally divorced?
Well, that was actually done in right before the reunion, like May. We had like a 2-part, our state is a 2-part, so you can get the agree on the divorce, and that gets done, and then you agree on the settlement, and that's the final part. So we were just working out our 2 last settlement deals, but our divorce part was done. But I never get this date right, and I should have it stamped on my refrigerator. But like the end of April, beginning of May, I couldn't say anything until after the reunion because that was something they wanted to ask me at the reunion. So yeah, that was done back in May or April, something like that. One of those.
Congratulations! I know you're happy to put that part of your life behind you.
Wow. Yes, it was rough in these streets. And we really didn't have anything to fight over. We didn't have anything together, no kids. So that was a blessing. Good. Yeah, I was able to get out unscathed financially. So that's a blessing.
Now, let me ask you this question. Your hair was such a big topic this season. Was the decision to cut your hair off on one side, did that have anything to do with, when women come out of relationships, we do something drastic with our hair, our appearance? Was that, or was it something totally different?
My hair had been shaved on one side since 2017.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I couldn't believe they made that such a big deal. And
I didn't understand it either.
Is that the one person who said it? I think it was Arena was like, when a girl cuts her hair, she going through some things. I'm seeing her. She got what? I said, I wanted to be like, now, Arena, you saw me a year ago and my head was shaved and I had a whole husband when I saw you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I even said in one of my reviews, I was like, I think that she should just go short like me. I was like, you have the perfect face where you can do like a really low cut with a really cute platinum blonde. I was like, that'll be fire on her. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no. Been the shave side for a minute, girl. That's I did the whole, what do you call it, Angela Bassett haircut off when I went through my first, situation back in 2015. Like I went from like Michelle Obama hair to a Halle Berry pixie cut.
Oh wow. So let me ask you this. What were your initial thoughts when you met Ashley, Arena, and Tasha?
So I met Arena and Tasha, a year ago at Monique's potty training boot camp book signing.
Okay.
So everything was cool. Like I didn't have any issues. I didn't meet Ashley, honestly, until the podcast that I spoke at on the show. So that was my first time ever meeting her. I thought she was a hoot. Like she was, big personality. And I'm like, okay, like she seems cool. Like no issues whatsoever because of, me being kind of open and sharing my story. And that wasn't the only thing I shared. She did come up to me and was like, girl, I can't believe like everything you've been through. Would you be open to being on my podcast? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Just let me know. But we had no issues. I thought I try not to make too many judgments, just meeting people. You know what I mean? So we were honestly good when I met them. So I thought everybody was cool.
When did you pinpoint that, this is not going well with us? I don't know if I'm going to mix well with these ladies.
Tasha was fine. That never really transpired into anything. Ashley was the vegan dinner. Arena, a peek of it at the Ocean Prime, but I really thought we kind of moved forward. I didn't really kind of dwell on that too much until the selfie thing. Let me go back. The selfie thing is when we had the big blow up.
Right.
And I realized Arena was upset too, but I was kind of confused because I was like, I didn't talk bad about Jamie. So I was really kind of confused about her being upset over that. And it wasn't particularly at me calling their husbands the nicknames because they didn't know at that time. Right. Monique hadn't told that part. So I didn't know why Arena was mad at me. I'm like, I wasn't talking mess about Jamie. I said nothing. The only thing I did was call him a nickname. Like that was all I said. And I said that in reference to not wanting any of their husbands. Like, I don't want any of your husbands. And that's how they got the nicknames. Like, I'm good. So even though it was a sarcastic comment, and it's okay if they didn't like what I said, it wasn't to talk about them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Saying something. A joke.
Yeah, it was just a joke. Albeit some people love it, some people hate it. And they're entitled to hate it if they hate it. But I was not talking mess about either one of them. Honestly, I made the comment, I heard rumors too. It ended there. There wasn't any other further discussion. And that wasn't why I said it. I wasn't trying to give tea, share tea, show receipts, none of that. It's just, I said it. I own that I said it, but that's where it ended. So I was very confused by Arena's anger towards me. Cause I'm like, what did Mo tell them? Like, I didn't say anything about other than the nicknames, which she clearly hadn't shared yet. So that kind of threw me off. So the whole Joe thing kind of caught me by surprise. And that's probably where Arena and I kind of took a turn for the left. Right. Was definitely the Joe thing, because I'm like, honey, you want me to apologize for something that didn't happen, and I can't. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, that's when I kind of realized. Vegan dinner for Ashley. The selfie event was probably my first inkling with Arena. Really Ocean Prime, I kind of saw Arena more so team. Not that anyone had to pick sides, but I could kind of see the leaning towards the team Ashley situation. But I mean, everyone else was cool. I didn't have any issues with Tasha, and she wasn't really integrated that much. I don't think I saw Tasha again after Ocean Prime until after I met her, after I had the issue with Arena at Joe's Juice. So there was a huge gap, between that.
I think Arena was upset from when Monique went back and told them, or either Ashley went back and told her what happened. I can't remember, but I think she was upset because Monique went back and told her that you felt like they were like some mean girls or something like that. I can't remember. It's so much information, but beyond all of that, do you feel like Monique instigated the situation when she went back and told them what she said, or do you think that she was genuinely trying to get to the bottom of things and fix it?
I do feel like she was genuinely trying to insert herself to fix it. I just wish she had not done that because because of the way things were told.
Okay. But let me ask you this. Do you regret the way that you told Monique the story? Because when I was watching it, it was making it seem like when you were relaying the story that these were the things that you said to them in that moment, but you weren't saying, girl, I was thinking, girl, fuck your husband, or whatever the case may be. I was thinking that, not really saying it. So it was a big contradiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think too, looking back, I kind of regret saying anything to her. It's going to sound awful, but I'm just keeping it. I really do, because, you know, now that we've gotten to the end of the season, I know that there wasn't a mutual kind of friendship there. You know what I mean? Like maybe I felt comfortable in a way to speak to her that she didn't feel like was justified. Like, why did you feel so comfortable to come to me? And I'm like, wait a minute.
Okay. But now the reunion, you both stated that you all didn't really have a relationship like that prior to film. Like you would talk every blue moon or whatever. Y'all didn't really hang out or kiki. So, but can you look at it from a show standpoint where we got to have some drama? We got to get the ball started. Because I felt like that was the reason why Monique went back and told it. Because up until that point, nothing had really happened yet.
I can see it from a show standpoint. However, as a newbie coming in, I get her point. Yes, we were not best friends, super close. So we're social friends, right? Okay. However, I also like to make the comparison that in this ecosystem of this show, she is the closest thing I have to someone I would have confided in. I wouldn't have went and downloaded that conversation with any of the other ladies but her.
Do you think that in return, if she had heard them speaking about you, that she would have came back and told you?
No, because it happened. I learned with the audience that there were conversations had about me at Quick and Ashley's house. I was like, no. But you got to think I'm learning that after, not during.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you regret calling Jamie Red Light Special and Quick DJ Fun Size? Do you regret it, or you think it's funny? Because I thought it was funny.
I mean, I still think it's funny. No one's going to take the fun out of the funny. That's that. But I do.
You froze. Okay.
Oh, goodness. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yes, I regret that it offended them. And I do agree. It's not good to make fun of, create nicknames when they're just getting to know me. I feel like if they knew me more, they would have taken it with a laugh, like everyone else took it. So yeah, you shouldn't make up nicknames if you don't really know people and people don't really know you. So although I do feel like out of everybody, because Quick did comfort me at the vegan dinner, I do feel like his nickname was what he had something coming. He really did.
So at the meetup with you and Irena, when things got heated and she stood up over you, did you think that she was going to get physical with you?
No, I wanted her to sit down because that was unnecessary.
Ooh, okay.
Absolutely not. I wasn't afraid. I'm just like, you got to sit down and quit playing with me. Like, we are two grown women.
Yeah.
She does not strike me as that type. And there was nothing in our conversation that would have merited that. Mm-hmm. And so I was just like, no, not today. You're going to have a seat. We're going to sit down and talk like two grown people.
So do you stand by the statement that you made at the reunion that you think that Jamie and Irena have cheated on each other? I mean, well, she admitted that she had an emotional affair or whatever. But do you stand by that statement? Because Monique was like, I don't feel like you had the right to say that because you don't really know them.
She just felt like we shouldn't speak on people's marriages, which, considering they spoke on mine all season long, which is just crazy.
And you're on a show called Love and Marriage DC.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna not speak on it because I spoke on it on Carlos' show, and I'm sorry that it offended them. But I can't retract what I said.
Okay, that's reasonable. So, at the reunion, you stated that one of your coworkers claimed she cheated with Quick at this club called Park. Judging by Ashley's and Quick's facial expression when you said it, do you think the coworkers' claims are true?
She's my, I won't call her a friend because I'm redefining friends these days, child. She is a good acquaintance of mine, and I don't know her to be a liar. That's what I can say. I will respect him if he's saying it's not true or it didn't happen or he doesn't know what I'm talking about. I respect him. He's more than willing to defend himself and say that. I will just say I don't know my friend to be a liar. I don't get in the midst of grown folks' business like that. I almost hate that I said I heard rumors because it's definitely caused people to kind of probe and ask for receipts and this, that, and the other. But I would never out her because she trusted me. So I will just say I don't know her to be a liar. And I can say that she's someone I know. So I can say I don't know her to be a liar.
If she asked you to bring her onto the show, would you?
Woo! Jesus.
To show her, to tell her side of the story.
I ain't want no parts of that. It was already bad enough having to deal with Kevin. I would not intentionally do that. That would be like someone, how they included Kevin. I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. So I would not intentionally do that to someone else. That would be like someone bringing on the nanny, in my opinion. And that yeah. I'm respectful in that way. That wouldn't have nothing to do with me. She would have to find her own way, but I wouldn't be the bridge.
Was that the only rumor you heard about Quick? Okay. I'll just take that. Okay. You also stated at the reunion that you were given receipts on Jamie cheating, but a few days prior to filming, but that you weren't going to reveal them on camera because of the damaging claims made against, their family. Yes. Why bring it up? I want to know that.
Because Carlos asked me to bring it up. He knew. I mean, we don't get a choice, y'all. Like, there are some things that production and the powers that be are made aware of. Okay. And I personally would not have liked to have been asked whether or not I had receipts. Mm-hmm. That was not that to me. I didn't feel like that was the discussion. It was me owning the fact of me saying I heard rumors too. Receipts were never discussed during the season, ever. Yes. So I was asked, do you have receipts? That's a very direct question. I can either choose to answer or choose not to answer, or lie. I wasn't going to lie. I was going to be honest. And let's just clarify the whole thing with Jamie. And my team will tell you, I was sitting in the chair getting ready to go on stage, still getting messages from people. And I'm serious, still getting messages. So yeah, days leading up and up until me going on stage, but who's getting into all those details? I just knew after reading what I read and getting the information I got, I was not going to share a dadgum thing, because for me, if someone, and they did it to me on stage, like they were gunning like hard. They were trying to comfort me for real. I just didn't want to do that. I stand by saying, yes, I heard rumors too, but it was never my intent to show or reveal any receipts. And regardless of what I have and what was sent to me, I didn't go looking for those receipts. Those receipts came to me. But nah, it just wasn't the place. And it's some pretty crazy stuff. Everyone we consulted with was like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
I literally saw yesterday before the reunion part 2 aired on the blogs that you in fact had texted Irena stating that, you were sorry how everything went down, but that if she wanted the information, you all could meet up so you could actually show her the receipts. So she declined. Was this before?
She never responded.
After the reunion?
After the reunion, because you have to understand, when it came to the Tylers, I didn't have anything on them. This is not something I went looking for. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like because whoever is sending this out, I wasn't the only person. Whoever this is sending this to bloggers as well. So I was accused of sending it to bloggers. I'm like, don't put that on me. I ain't sending nothing to nobody.
Why haven't seen anything out there? They haven't reported anything.
I pray they don't, because I think that's just kind of low. So yeah. So let's be clear. I would have somebody said, well, why didn't you message her before the reunion? Well, I didn't have anything to message her about before the reunion.
You found out on the day of the reunion?
Yeah, like leading up to, and I would say like, I was already in LA. So this was like 48, 72 hours before the reunion.
Okay.
And I didn't know what to think of it myself. So I ain't going to turn around and speak on it and be like, hey, like I just, But considering how much I kept getting, I'm like, oh goodness, this is a lot. And somebody was relentless. Whoever this is, and it's more than one person. Whoever these people are, whoever it was, they're relentless. And so that's when I messaged her and was like, hey, I don't have anything against you. I didn't plan to get these receipts. They came to me. If you would like to see them, I am more than willing to meet up and show you what I have. That's really the basis of that. And she never responded. I can't control her not responding, but I did feel like I owed her that woman to woman to show her. Like, I would want to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I did see that on Twitter, Jamie responded back to you saying, leave our family alone. And you said something to the effect, I was speaking to Irena, and then Irena came back saying if she see you in the streets and
it got crazy, huh? I'm like, all this because I was like, hey, if you'd like to see what was sent to me, it just to me was an overreaction unnecessarily. I could understand if I was out here talking about them, but you outed a private message. I could have done that on camera. I really could have. I could have waited until the cameras were rolling. I didn't. I purposely messaged you privately and said, hey, I know things are tense. I know you guys are mad at me for my comment on Carlos. However, was not my intention to offend. I really don't have anything against you guys. But if you would like to see what people are sending me, I am more than willing to meet up with you and show you. That's all that was about.
Let me get this correct. So Irena was the one that showed the text message between you and her first?
No, I showed it because she went on Richie saying that I was going to send her stuff or information on her kids or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So the way it was reported, like, she dropped a bombshell that I had receipts on her kids.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, let me drop the text message that I sent. Because that was not the case. And I feel like I just told Richie this today when I interviewed with him earlier. I said, I really wish he had reached back out to me and responded and at least said, I don't care what you have on me and my husband, but send me what you have on the kids. Like anything that references my kids. Yeah, I want to see that. Can you at least send me that? I think once she would have got it, not only would she have seen and gotten clarity, she would have understood why I didn't share anything.
Okay. Oh, Lord. Okay. I only got a few more questions for you. Do you think there'll ever be a day where you and Ashley and Irena could actually get along with one another?
I don't have anything personal against them. I mean, yes, we've had our shady back and forths and we've said, some pretty inflammatory things. I don't like the way that this season has gone when it seems to have been 6-1 in a lot of ways. I don't like that. I do feel like some backup is necessary from my end. But
I said that on my review yesterday. I said, and what I would like to see next season is for you to have some form of a backup, whether it be somebody or anybody you're in a relationship with. You need somebody because it does seem like it's all of them on one person, and that's just not fair to the viewers.
No, it's not fair to me. It's not fair to the viewers, and it's not fair to me. A lot of my backup has come from social media.
Yeah.
Like social media has been my plus one.
They love you. They love you.
Yeah.
They love Miss Winter. And like I said last night, I was honest. And I said that without you, this season would have been a dud. I felt like you came, you knew the assignment, and you completed the assignment. I feel like some of the other people were holding back and were trying to, you know, present this way of themselves, and they weren't being really real. And like I said, if you all get a season 2, which I'm pretty sure that you will, the other girls got to step it up. They really honestly got to step it up at this point, because that literally you and I feel like Ashley carried the show. So
well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't think anything has been done that we can't come back from. There would have to be some forgiveness. There would have to be some egos and pride aside. If that can happen, then yeah, I think anything is possible. I think at the end of the day, I think there's a lot that everyone could bring to the table if everyone's willing to put in the work. Like this has the potential to be a great show. It really, really does. But everyone has to be willing to lower that ego when necessary and lower that pride when necessary. But I'm not against it. I'm really, really not. I definitely would love to see more balance to the cast. I do think we need that. I think a 4th couple would be a great, you know, addition. I just think we need fresh blood. Like I think the cast definitely needs fresh blood. But yeah, I definitely don't think it's out of the question. Listen, I've seen who Nene and Kim be able to put their pasts aside. You know, I've seen Kenya and Portia, and the things that when people like that who have had some knockdown, drag out situations circle back. I think it's possible. I don't think it's beyond.
Funny is, I think that you and Ashley would be a dynamic duo. Y'all mouths together,
Lord
it would
Jesus.
be so funny. Like, because you're both funny, you both are quick-witted, you both know how to read. Y'all would honestly be a dynamic duo. Y'all need to team up. I'm telling you. So the viewers also felt like that, you know, they were saying online that they felt like Monique came onto the show to embarrass Chris and to set up a reason for a divorce. Do you believe that? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I've never seen that. I've been asked this so many times. I've never seen that. And that's one thing I won't ever try to insert myself and say that I've seen. Or I don't know. I haven't seen that. I'm just going to be honest. Okay. And I understand from a viewer standpoint why they have had, you know, their feelings. I'm not ignorant, but I can personally say in my experience of being around them, I've never seen that. I really haven't. So
do you think if you all do get a season 2 that you will see yourself opening up to Monique again, or you've learned your lesson? You know how to keep certain things close to the vest.
It moves so differently season 2 in a lot of ways. And that definitely I would tread a little more lightly. And I also would, I understand now when it comes to reality TV, whatever is shown can be used against you. Not even what is shown, what is said and what is shown. You see what I'm saying? You gotta manage both. So it's more so being more intentional and more, I don't want to say calculated, but definitely in a sense more calculated about what you say and don't say.
Even what is not as shown, like any text messages, any conversations off camera, all of it.
Absolutely.
It's being recorded in some type of way people are using. Moving into a season 2 with you, you and Monique are good, right?
Yeah.
You and Tasha are good. I don't know if they're going to come back next season or whatever. She did. Last time I interviewed her, she said that she had reached out to you a few times, but didn't get a response. Is there any reason why or you just wanted to decompress from everybody?
So no, that's not true. Her and I actually had a back and forth, and I basically just told her that I would circle back once I got back in town because I do a lot of travel. So yeah, I said, you know, hey, once I get some traveling out the way, you know, I'll circle back. It's just that I can't speak for her. I personally got very busy. Monique kind of understands, you know, that by now. Her and I both are the same. Like we'll touch base here and there, and then it'll be some time, and then we'll follow back up.
Right.
Tasha may not know that's how I am. Not that I'm forgetting. It's just that I really am busy and kind of manage a lot, especially with the travel. So yeah, we had the back and forth. We exchanged personal numbers. Like I got the text messages.
Okay.
We exchanged personal numbers. So I was kind of like, what do you mean she never heard back? Like, no, that's not true. I did. And we actually had a recent conversation where it's kind of like, I'm sorry, I got busy, charged it to my head and not my heart.
Okay.
And I didn't get a chance to kind of set it up. That's on me, and I'll own that. But yeah, it wasn't that I ignored her and never responded. It's just that I responded and I just said, hey, when I get done with being busy, I will circle back.
Okay. Let me clarify that interview was done, I want to say around episode maybe 5. So that's been a minute from now when that was said. So just to clarify that it's not something or anything.
Oh, no. And even then I still responded. Like, I think too, that's good to know. I mean, that's still good information to know. Like, it wasn't like I just left her on red. Like, we actually had a conversation.
What I was initially here to ask though was, moving into season 2 with you kind of being isolated, how do you see you being incorporated into the group?
Yeah. There are things that all casts are required to attend. So it might be some all cast situations.
Okay.
It may be that there's some individual reach outs. It may be that, Monique may attempt to be the bridge potentially again. It just could be, there's a lot of different ways. This is reality TV. We can always say what we will and won't do, but there's a lot of situations that can end us all up in the same situation, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right. I do.
And when you're getting a check, there are some things you cannot decline.
Last 3 questions. Do you feel like any of your cast members like kind of hyped up their personalities for the camera, or they were really truly being who they are outside of the camera?
I can answer this quickly because I don't know them like that, so I don't know what their personalities were.
Okay.
I got a stinking suspicion that I think what we saw is who she is. Mm-hmm. Everyone else, I'm not sure, because I know them. I feel like Monique's been who we know her to be. And so is Chris. So everyone else I can't speak to because I really didn't know him like that beforehand. So I don't know.
Do you agree with the viewers that they feel like Quick is very controlling and dismissive of Irena?
You mean Jamie?
I mean Jamie, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I don't know. Like God, this is going to sound so awful. Carlos, if you're watching, I am so sorry. But I skimmed through.
Oh, you didn't watch the whole season. All the way through.
I don't want to lie. Okay, I'm sorry, and I don't.
That's okay. Well, based off what you witnessed when you were with them at the reunion, what would you say?
I was separated from the cast. I was separated. I was even in a separate hotel because it was supposed to be a shocker that I was at the reunion. So just like I was a surprise for the season, I was a surprise for the reunion.
So they didn't know you were going to be there? So that's why they was looking the way they were looking when you walked out. Okay, that's an exclusive. I thought they knew you were there.
No, ma'am.
Wow. Okay.
My dressing room was separated from everyone else's. I was actually upstairs in my own dressing room.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I actually made an entrance.
Now I got to go back and watch it now to really be looking at things. Wow.
Oh, yeah, if you actually go back and watch it, I literally make like this entrance onto the stage.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah. All right. So what do you hope to get out of being on Love and Marriage DC? What is your goal for this show for yourself?
Exposure, certainly to grow my brand and my business. I think expanding the ability for others to know what I do and have exposure and see what I have to offer. I never had a goal to be on reality TV. It just sort of kind of happened. Like this was something that happened. But I've always wanted to be in media. So I feel like this is a gateway to greater opportunities and, greater reach. I think ultimately when you truly believe you have a purpose, the goal is to reach as many people as you can. So that at the end of the day is my goal, my focus, to continue to expand my brand and really venture out into better business ventures and endeavors. I love all things, I call it modern homemaking, but I love, taking care of my home and making my house feel homey. So I would love to see products and things that reflect that down the road. I would love to be like a Rachel Ray or something. Like,
awesome. I would love you to say I can so see you being like a host on like a panelist show, like The View or something like that. Because I think that you. Oh, I hit it right on the nail. Okay.
Just said that to Richie today because he asked me the same thing. And I was like, I've always seen myself like some sort of like either Rachel Ray-ish type show, love like talk show, or either like a View or The Real type of thing, like the fourth of a part, like
you know what would be a good show for you if they had another spot, the Fox Soul show with Lisa Ray and all of those ladies. I think that you would fit in great because they don't have anybody like you on that show to come from your perspective.
They just did Live from Jamaica. Oh my gosh. I know what show you're talking about. The name.
I can't think of it either. But yeah, you might want to look into that, girl. I'm telling you, you got a future in that. You really honestly do.
I appreciate it.
Let everybody know what you have coming up and where they can find you.
Honestly, you can just go to my website, simplywinter.com. I'm actually switching to all things Simply Winter. Like I'm dropping the Williams. So Simply Winter. simplywinter.com. Follow me on IG, I'm Simply Winter, and then Simply Winter Official on YouTube. I do lifestyle and, a lot of my faith talks I put on YouTube as well. And I say faith talks, but moments of inspiration. Like I really kind of share from my heart and lessons that I've learned and apply wisdom as needed to different situations. So you go to YouTube for that. But you can keep up with all of my events and courses. I teach a lot. I travel to speak. If you'd like to book me, all of that stuff is filtered through my website. So really the hub is simplywinter.com. Shop merch, grab your Southern Sweet and Shady tees, your Try Jesus Not Me mug. Just have, a lot of my one-liners have been turned into a thing. So I've just converted that into, clean, good, shady merchandise. And so you can
have you ever thought about, especially when season 2 comes, instead of going live on Instagram, actually taking your lives over to YouTube and doing like what Dr. Heavenly does on Married to Medicine? She does recaps of the episodes every, Sunday or, whenever the show airs. I think that'll be really good for you next season to do recaps of the episodes so we can get the behind the scenes see of what we didn't see, what was said. No, that's not what I said. This is what I can see you doing that and really breaking everything down and making a coin from it, girl.
Listen, I honestly dropped the ball. I did that off and on with my YouTube this season, and I kind of got caught up on IG because a lot of my audience is heavily on IG. So
they'll come over to YouTube. They'll come over to YouTube. True. Yeah,
I need to drag them over.
Yeah, it's a community made, girl. Don't let us eat off you.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I definitely could stand to do that for sure. Yes. So an after show.
Yes, an after show.
Okay.
And that way you can be putting your name even out there even further so people can see your personality and what you have to offer, all of your products and things.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I'm here for it.
Thank you so much. This was a lovely interview. I'm so happy that I finally got to speak to you. You're so lovely. I really think that this interview will show the viewers a whole nother side of you that we really didn't get to see this season. Because honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. It really made me see you in a different light. I loved you this season, to be honest with you. I feel like you brought it to the show, but it really made me see a more softer, gentler side of you because I felt like the whole season you were on defense mode. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Literally
for sure
to protect yourself. So thank you once again, and I hope you all
thank you for having me
too. I really honestly do, and thank you so much. And I'm so happy for you and all of your endeavors and everything. And thank you so much.
No, this has been great. Thank you for having me, Keisha. And I appreciate all of y'all. Every blogger, they work hard in these reality TV streets. So I definitely appreciate great interviews like today. So I appreciate it. I hope we can connect outside of this. So thank you for having me.
Yes, please do. Yes. So thank you guys for tuning in to my interview with Miss Winter, Simply Winter. We're dropping the Williams, honey. Make sure you guys thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. I love you all, and I'll see you on the next interview. Bye.